Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Please Listen podcast. I'm your host, John Follett. It's just me, guys. It's just me this week. In the last episode, we had a very special guest in the form of my girlfriend, Catherine. Unfortunately, as soon as the cameras and microphones turned off on that episode, we got into a very heated argument. We got into hands were thrown. It was a physical altercation about the lore of the Star Wars franchise. We're very passionate. She tried to say all sorts of nonsense like force healing wasn't actually Baby Yoda actually wasn't the first person to do force healing, and that his name isn't Baby Yoda, it's Grogu. That's She was very upset for me about that stuff, so she kicked me to the curb. I'm sleeping in the doghouse. I'm sleeping on the couch, and I'm alone again on the podcast. So that's very sad. But the Star Wars lore is life and death. That's a little reference to the comments that I've been getting. I've been posting a lot of clips from the last episode on social media. Very carefully selected, hand-picked clips. Hand-curated clips that are meant to stir up the most shit. So the comments, they are kind of I should have expected. I did kind of expect it. Just how much these Star Wars fans take their lore so seriously. That was the biggest thing. The first thing I said about the force healing, shouldn't have said that. Star Wars fans, they all jumped at me because I said in the spoilers for The Mandalorian and Grogu, not Baby Yoda, for that movie, he does the force healing, and he did it first in season 1 of The Mandalorian. I think either the penultimate episode or the one before that or the one after that. He does force healing, and to me, that was the first time I'd ever seen force healing be done. Like a Jedi go and heal someone's wound. And then the day later, the 9th movie of the sequel trilogy came out, and Rey did the same thing there. And so I was like, Baby Yoda is the first person that does force healing. And then every Star Wars fan and their grandma brought up some freaking video game that I've never heard of. And so that's where it is. And I guess I'm sorry. Some people said Rey was the first person to do that, although they're just plain wrong. I don't know much about Star Wars, but I did watch the Mandalorian episode when it came out, before that movie came out. I know it was very close in proximity to each other, but Grogu did do it first before that. Some people were saying the Clone Wars, which I've never watched the Clone Wars. A lot of that episode, that last episode, was me talking about how much I haven't seen of the Clone Wars and how important it is to the Star Wars lore. I haven't seen that, although I did some digging, and I don't think that's true. I don't think force healing in the way that it's presented in The Rise of Skywalker, or the Rise of Skywalker and The Mandalorian, I don't think that's, because it's like one of the witch ladies do it. The Night Sisters is what they're called. I did some research. It doesn't seem like that's the same kind of ability. It seems like it's Night Sister magic more than I know they use the Force. From what I know that they're like Force, but they're not Jedi Force healings. And it's like, I'm sorry I didn't take into account the non-canon video games. Oh, you're telling me that healing is a mechanic in a video game? Obviously, it's a freaking video game. But yeah, I digress. And also the thing about me calling him Baby Yoda, I'm sorry. I'm not going to call him Grogu. I like the name Baby Yoda and the many variations that I've used in the past. But yeah, those are the comments that I got. Some of the comments that I got on my I kind of knew that was going to happen. The Star Wars fans, they're real serious about their lore. And they also have, sorry, I did not mean for the beginning of this episode to become like me hating on Star Wars fans. If you like Star Wars, you're cool. You're great. But a lot of the fans have they have some like an entitlement to them. Like as if they're like experts in like quantum physics or like an actually like important, useful like skill, or field of study, you know about the Star Wars lore. You're not like a scientist. They're like, actually, there was a video game that came out in the early 2000s, um, with Moss Babineau, some fucking random Jedi character that isn't even canon. Actually, they're in one page of a novel that was released. Shut up. When I was making last episode about the Mandalorian and Grogu, I was just shocked by how fast people get their reviews out. Because, yeah, I talk about things like recent things that come out, and being timely helps. Yeah, you want to talk about something recent, unless you're doing like a retrospective. I saw a video on YouTube that was like, does Andor still hold up? The show Andor, the Star Wars show. I'm like, what do you mean hold up? That show came out like 2 years ago. Why are you saying hold up like it's from the 1930s or something? Anyways, yeah, but I got that. I thought I was being super fast with how I planned that episode out, because we went and we saw the movie on a Thursday, so the day before like the marketed like release date, because that's what theaters do. We saw that movie the day before it even came out, and we recorded that episode the day it came out, the day of, like early in the morning. And as I was editing it, right before I even started editing it, I just saw millions of reviews. I'm like, damn, like hour-long reviews. And I was like, oh, dude, how do people get these things out so fast? I know that some reviewers, they get like early screenings, early whatever, so they can get their reviews out. But I was seeing like channels with like no views, so like my channel, channels with no views, and they were getting their reviews of the Mandalorian and Baby Yaddle out so fast. I was like, man, I don't have the, and either way, I didn't upload that podcast the day I finished. I upload it. I have a schedule. I was planning on doing it early, but I was like, it'll help to backlog some episodes, because eventually I'm gonna run out of things to talk about. Eventually, this past few weeks have been pretty good actually. There's been a lot of stuff that's been coming out, that I've been good talking about. But yeah, I was like, man, the speed of these reviewers, I really got to step my game up. That's because this is art. This is not a podcast. This is art. There's more effort put into this. I've got you can't see behind the camera, but I got a whole team of people. I got someone getting me coffee. I got someone getting me sandwiches. My entire crew is just people getting me different food. None of them are working like on the actual tech of the show, which probably would help. Someone's getting me Jolly Ranchers. Someone's filling up my dog's water bowl. Very useful here. Anyways, I'm getting some FOMO recently. I'm feeling a little left out, seeing everyone play that new Lego Batman game. The Legacy of the Dark Knight. No matter how old I get, the Lego games, they're timeless. Those Lego games. It came out like recently, like probably 2 weeks ago, maybe even less. I'm just seeing everyone play it and be like, look at all the Easter eggs in it and the levels. I don't have a console that is powerful enough to run it. They didn't release it on the Switch 1. I only have a Switch 1 and an Xbox 360. How am I supposed to play it? I can't play the new Lego game. It has all the characters and it's the story. It's like a mixture of the stories from the movies and from the comics and probably TV shows too. I was such in middle school. If that game came out in middle school, I would have gone broke securing that. I would have either gone broke or I would have committed to a life of crime. To afford the game, like Ryan Gosling in the Place Beyond the Pines. Yes, I can't. I'm not able to play it. I've been playing just to get a similar feeling. I've been playing the last big the Lego Star Wars game. What they need to do if they ever make, because I like this new. I love the old Lego games, the old like the Star Wars Complete Saga, the Lego Batman like trilogy, Indiana Jones, and Lego Marvel Superheroes. That's my favorite one. But I also like this like this new era of the Lego games with like the Skywalker saga where it's like they don't have like because all the old Lego games they kind of had the same like structure and like their same kind of gameplay, but they've been kind of like mixing it up with these new ones, um, with the Skywalker saga, and then there was some other stuff in the middle. I know they did Lego Fortnite, but nobody cares. And then this Batman one, if they ever do another one with Marvel, they have to do one like that, right? Like that's you cannot like they have to do it of like the entire Infinity Saga because they did a Lego Avengers one that was like up till I think Age of Ultron, right? They got to do one of the entire Infinity Saga where they do all like 20 something movies. That would be if they ever did that. Oh, first in line, even if it was on the PlayStation 6, I would first in line at GameStop. I would be buying that game, and I would 100% that game. You can put as many Riddler trophies or whatever the Riddler trophy equivalent would be in the Marvel universe. I would play that game so hard, so easily. I would play that game so hard. Like, never mind. But yeah. So I'm just feeling kind of down about that right now. I wish I had like a rain and like crackling thunder sound effect to just like hammer home the fact that I'm sad about this. Actually, speaking of Lego, pocket fig check. I got this in here. This is my pocket fig I carry around with me. Have you guys seen? I've been getting videos recommended to me on Instagram of just like usually it's just like a guy doing like work on like a laptop, and he just like pulls out this minifigure from his pocket. And it's like pocket fig of the day. I don't know what it's just like from I guess emotional support. He just keeps him with him. I thought this would help for this podcast. I got this. This is the Spider-Man from No Way Home. This is the suit. This is the suit that he gets, or he has the suit, but he gets like the little gold from the nanotech off of Doc Ock. I like the gold accents on it. It's a nice figure. Dual molded legs. I know people like that about minifigures, but it's a pretty figure. And let's put that back. That actually is in line with what we're going to be talking about, the main topic for today, because there was a brand new. You could say it's a brand new day because there's a brand new live action Spider-Man project starring a very famous actor, and that is Spider-Noir from Amazon Prime, and also MGM Studios, whatever that thing is, developed by Sony Pictures, the famous arbiters of live-action Spider-Man content. They always do a good job with that. They're great. They're great at giving Spider-Man fans what we want. After their last films made $1 more billion, they've decided to give, they decided to take a risk with this and actually put Spider-Man in one of their projects. Because before they were like, all of these movies, Venom, Madam Web, these are all surefire hits, okay? Madam Web and Morbius and Craven especially. But let's take a risk this time and let's put Spider-Man in, a thing. Let's put Spider-Man in something. We have this character called Spider-Man that some people have heard of. Let's take a swing and swing. That's a good pun. Let's take a swing and use him in something as a main character. They were like they tested the waters a little bit. In Madam Web, they have a baby Peter Parker, Peter Parker 10 seconds after being born. But they were like, let's try and actually use this boring character. Let's try and make something of this lame character that nobody likes. I say that because I'm lying. It's the exact opposite. Because, yeah, they released something after owning this character. I mean, because everybody knows the story with Sony owning the rights to Spider-Man, and then they made the Tobey Maguire movies were great, and they were losing the rights, so they were like, let's make the Andrew Garfield movies, and then they were like, after the second one, everybody hated that, and then they were like, Marvel, help us, and then they put Tom Holland Spider-Man in the MCU, and now there's like the joint Spider-Man things. And then Sony was like, let's make our own movies about Spider-Man characters. Venom, which Venom at least makes sense to have his own solo movies because Venom has like his own kind of fan base and own popularity. And then the Venom movies did good, and they were like, we can do anything we want. So let's make Morbius. And they made Morbius, and they instantly just became a laughing stock of the entire comic book movie community. And they were like, let's make Madam Web. That'll really knock their socks off. And that became an even bigger laughing stock. I don't know how you could get worse than with Morbius, where you get trolled into releasing the movie in theaters again to make no money. And then they were like, let's make Kraven the Hunter. Let's make a Kraven the Hunter movie. They can't be stopped. Well, they did stop kind of. And I was I was a big fan of watching all the Marvel movies. Venom came out like 2018. So that's when I was super invested in it, especially when Infinity War was coming out. I was like, I'll watch this movie. And I like Venom 2 quite a bit. It's kind of a guilty pleasure movie. I like Carnage. I like seeing Carnage and Venom fight. I think it's cool. I think they look cool. Venom 1 is boring. Morbius I saw once at this, whatever. And then I didn't see the last 3 that they put out. I never seen Venom 3 or Madam Web or Kraven the Hunter. I was thinking, I've said this before, but I was thinking of doing an episode where I watch those 3 and review them, or talk about them. But I like most people in the world, I decided not to watch those movies, especially after the shit that they pulled with Venom. The biggest reason, okay, because I wouldn't have watched Morbius if they didn't. Is this even legal? What they were doing? They were putting, because the Morbius trailer had all these references to Spider-Man. It had the Oscorp Tower, it had graffiti, and then in the trailers they had Michael Keaton supposedly as his character from Spider-Man Homecoming showing up. They had scenes with him, and you watch the movie, his character is nowhere to be seen. None of those scenes with the Spider-Man references are anywhere to be seen. And in the post-credits scene, they have the Vulture from Spider-Man Homecoming get teleported to the Morbius universe, which is a fate that I would not wish upon my worst enemy. And he has the most embarrassing scene I have ever seen in a comic book movie of Michael Keaton going, something to do with Spider-Man, I think. I don't know if he must have recorded that like 5 minutes after waking up. And I'm sorry, that just makes me mad. And then I was like, Venom. They were marketing Venom 2, and they're like, don't spoil the post-credit scene. I was like, shoot. Because it was like a year or a few months before Spider-Man No Way Home. So I was like, I mean, that's a multiverse movie. This is possibly going to have to do with that because it's a different universe, but it's also Spider-Man characters, even though it's just Venom. And then you watch the Venom 2 movie. It's a short movie. It's a very inoffensive movie, actually, compared to all the other ones. And then the post-credit scene, Venom gets sent to the MCU, and he sees Tom Holland on the TV. And I saw that, and I was like, no way. Tom Hardy's Venom is going to meet Tom Holland's Spider-Man. And then you watch Spider-Man No Way Home, and he's just nowhere to be seen in the movie except for the post-credit scene where he gets sent back to his universe. And he's out of there. But the little Venom symbiote stays. Maybe that'll be a thing. Maybe they'll just ignore that, though, is the thing. I'm not going to watch Venom 3 because he has nothing to do with the world. Because I was actually... Sorry, I know I was supposed to be talking about Spider-Man Noir, but I've got a lot of things to say. I was actually okay with... Because I like Tom Hardy as Venom. I like Tom Hardy just in general. And I like the look of his Venom. I think the look of Venom is, like, amazing. I think, actually, the looks of not a lot of the characters. Some of the characters is cool. Like Venom, Carnage. I think Morbius, when he becomes like a vampire guy, he looks pretty cool. Some of the costumes that I've seen in Madam Web, I mean, they have him in costume for like 5 seconds in the movie, but I mean, I like the whatever Jessica Drew, is that Sydney Sweeney's character? Whatever that Spider-Man, I like that costume. Kraven is all right. And I mean, Chameleon's in there. Chameleon looks kind of stupid, but I like the Rhino. I also like the look of the Rhino. I think that's a cool design for the Rhino. I haven't seen that movie though. So I wouldn't have been mad if they folded in some of the characters from that. You could just be like, that was my beef. That's why I didn't watch Venom 3, because I'm like, I don't care anymore. But in that, they kind of stopped making those movies after everybody stopped watching them, and so now they're like, let's actually make something with Spider-Man in it. That's a good idea. Some genius was like, let's, you know what? We have this character called Spider-Man, the most popular character in all of fiction. Let's make something with that. And everybody's like, oh, a great idea. Great. You're actually fired. We're doing layoffs. You got to get out of here, but we're going to take your idea. That's what they said. And so they made this, Spider-Noir. And I was like, I saw this, and I was like, this is what they should have been doing the whole time. Instead of wasting your time with Spider-Man villain movies without Spider-Man in them, you should have been doing stuff like Spider-Noir. Sony, I guess, has always wanted their own cinematic shared universe, right? Ever since The Amazing Spider-Man, they've been trying to get like a Sinister Six movie off the ground. And so in Amazing Spider-Man 2, they were like, just put all the villains' powers, like have them just all be like in one basement, like the Doc Ock arms and the Vulture wings. And they were like, let's have a Aunt May prequel movie. And then with these recent villain movies, they're like, let's have them all cross over and be evil Sinister Six, but there's no Spider-Man, so I don't even know what they would even do. They would rob a bank or something. I was like, why? Like, and I was like, sure, maybe that'll make a lot of money. I don't know if it would. But I was like, this is like a perfect lane to go about, because they have those Spider-Verse movies, which everybody loves, which are great movies. And I was like, instead of doing like a shared universe, like a Marvel where everybody teams up, you could kind of have the Spider-Verse movies serve as like the big team up movie where you see all the characters, and you could have, instead of doing like a cinematic universe, you have like a cinematic like multiverse. You call it like this the Sony Spider-Verse. Don't call it that, because SS is not a good acronym. Call it like the Sony Cinematic Spider-Verse. And you do this, you do Spider-Man Noir, and you can do like all these different projects in the different styles of the Spider-Man variants. So you have this like noir show, and you can do like an anime style, like either movie or TV show with Penny Parker. You can make like Looney Tunes style shorts with Spider-Ham. What other variants are there? Spider-Punk. You could do Spider-Punk thing. The cowboy. I think his name is Web Slinger, like the cowboy Spider-Man. You do like a Western-esque thing with just a bunch of Spider-Man variants. I thought that'd be a perfect way to have like kind of a cinematic universe, but you have projects that are like vastly different. And then if people are like, I want to see these characters interact, the Spider-Verse movies is where you see them all. And I know technically the Spider-Man Noir in this is different from the one in the movies. It's kind of the same. To general audiences, they're just going to be like, that's the same guy. You could do something with Silk. I know they wanted to do like a Silk. I don't know if that's a variant or just a different Spider-Man character, but you could do that too. Especially if you don't want to use if you don't want to do you don't want to like step on the toes of Tom Holland's Spider-Man by having like a different Peter Parker who's like kind of the vanilla base version of Spider-Man. You have all these different variants. I like having like this different version of Spider-Man, because we have Tom Holland's right now, which is like a more of a vanilla version of Spider-Man. And so having something like a little different is good, as long as you have like the having different flavors is good, as long as you have vanilla in there. That's what I always say. And while watching the show, I decided to just go and read the original Spider-Man Noir comic. It's only 4 issues. Vastly different from the show. It's very different. I guess the version from Spider-Verse is very different from the comic book version, the original comic book version. And that's the one that this show is more centered around, the one from the Spider-Verse movies. That being said, what did I think about Spider-Man? Not Spider-Man Noir. They had to call it Spider-Noir. That's a big thing. Everyone's like, because his name isn't Peter Parker, it's Ben Reilly, where it's supposed to be Peter Parker, and they call him the Spider in the show, not Spider-Man. That's like a legal thing. I don't really care about the legal thing. I don't mind that he's called Ben Reilly. Spoilers first for Ben Reilly. Spoilers for Ben Reilly. Put that up on screen. No. Spoilers for Spider-Noir. All 8 episodes. I watched them all. They all released in the same day. I think that there is a lot to love about this show. Well, first, they released it all on the same day in 2 different versions. Because the whole thing with Spider-Man Noir So his world is like old timey. It's a noir basically. And in the Spider-Verse movies, he's in like black and white. His whole world is in black and white. So they released the show in black and white. However, they had the foresight, which I think is kind of smart, because they were like, a lot of Spider-Man fans are stupid. So let's release it also in color, so we can avoid people being like, "What? It's 2026. Why are you releasing something in black and white?" I know a lot of like, because I mean, there's a lot of Spider-Man fans out there. A lot of them are probably young or kind of dumb, and they're like, I don't want to watch some black and white. Like, they just don't watch things in black and white. So they released like the Technicolor version of it. And so there's two versions to watch in the show, and everybody's like, which version do you watch? People calling those who don't watch it, or there are people saying that those who watch it in black and white are like pretentious. They do interviews with like the cast and crew being like, which version do you think people should watch of the show? And most of them are like, oh, watch both. And I'm like, no, fuck you. I'm not giving you two views because you release it in two different versions. It is kind of annoying. I mean, Nicolas Cage, I saw the interview clip. Nicolas Cage was like, watch this in black and white. He's the only one keeping it real on that red carpet. But it's kind of annoying being like you having two different versions, because I feel like compelled to watch it twice. Which would be easier if they released them weekly. But if they're releasing them I'm already like, I have to watch 8 episodes of TV in a row, like in a short period of time, to not get spoiled, first of all. But you're making me watch it all again. But it also feels like, now that there's two versions, if I don't watch both of them, I feel like I'm missing something by skipping one version. From what I've heard and what I've seen, I do like how from clips I've seen of the color version, there's like, because the colors are very interesting. Like, they're not normal colors. I assume it's like what they would use because it looks best in black and white. So they're like very vibrant colors. But I watched it in black and white because I think the show in general just looks beautiful. It's just so beautiful. The black and white helps. I'm not sure if they used it. I'm not sure what kind of cameras they use. It looks very digital, which kind of doesn't help with the aesthetic. I might be completely wrong about that. I just remember it's very crisp, which is kind of a good and a bad thing if you want to like emulate the 1930s style. But there's so many like interesting camera angles and a lot of Dutch angles, a lot of split diopter shots, which I think are cool. Great uses of lighting. I do actually like the crispness of it sometimes. And you know what makes it actually more authentic is whenever any character starts smoking a cigarette, like the haze from the cigarette, like that makes every shot like seem 100% more like true to the time period that it's set in. But they'll play like a clip from a movie of that time, and you can just tell like this, like how different it looks from what I'm watching. Which, you know, they're obviously, I don't think they were trying to emulate like a 1930s movie, just kind of invoke that time period of like the noir. And so yeah, I really like the way that the show looked. I like how because it's very pulpy. It's very it's set in the 1930s, and so like all the characters are like they're talking. They have like this. You jokester. This is the bee's knees, the cat's pajamas, and they have like the old timey like fast paced back and forths. A lot of that with Ben Reilly and Kat Hardy, who's like one of the main characters in this. They have like these back and forths. I like seeing, and I excuse like a lot of the action is also pulpy. It's like not like the most. It's kind of at times like kind of goofy, kind of cartoonish, but it's meant to, you know, invoke the old timey. So I'm able to like excuse some of it. I'm able to excuse a lot of it actually, because that's what it's going for. Something that I do think kind of messes with the atmosphere of it is the songs they have, because Black Cat is like a singer at a club, and she sings like I think they're original songs made for the show. And the theme song is also original, made for the show. I think they kind of use like instruments to I guess sound like an older like band. But the songs, especially the vocals, sound kind of too modern. And when Black Cat sings like through the microphone. It does something that is kind of a pet peeve of mine, where she sounds like an actual like studio recording instead of someone singing like in a microphone in a club. But they had to like perfectly tune her voice to sound studio quality. I don't like that. I guess I'll kind of go in order of the episodes of the show. It starts off with this like montage and narration. I like the narration. That's very noir. The great montage of just seeing Spider-Man do swinging and action stuff, like just tried and true Spider-Man action. I thought it was really great. I think a lot of the effects of like the Spider-Man acrobatics and the swinging look really great. Some of that is helped in the black and white version. It kind of blends in. It looks a little better in the black and white, so that's a plus of watching it in black and white. It looks pretty good. I heard that the budget for this, I just looked it up. The budget for this is approximately $400 million, which is kind of crazy. And it's like, I don't know. I guess, because, I mean, a lot of it looks good. A lot of it looks really good. There are times where they kind of do things that make it seem like they had to, like, use their budget sparingly. I guess maybe those Spider-Man swinging scenes cost so much. But I'm kind of going out of order. I said I was going to go in order, but there's a fight in one of the, like, the middle episodes where he fights the megawatt guy with the electric powers. And that felt a lot like a Flash CW show fight, where they're just like standing on opposite ends of a street, and one of them's going like this, and like light energy's coming out of their hands or whatever laser they have, and they're just bumping into cars or like in the fist fighting. That felt like I was watching an episode of The Flash, and I was like, The Flash had like that happened probably like every episode in The Flash, and those seasons were like 20 episodes long, and so I'm like, we're doing this in this show where it's like over like almost $500,000 for 8 episodes, and you're doing like these kind of cheapo looking fights. And there's kind of like that in the finale. That also kind of becomes that in the finale. But I guess those swinging scenes, they really cost a pretty penny. And then, so we see that, and then we learned that Ben Reilly's wife got killed by like the mob or something. Like she's trapped in a car and underwater, and he couldn't save her because he was out drinking with friends. And so he retires as the Spider, and it's been 5 years since he's been the Spider. And that's at first I was like, oh, we're doing this again where the superhero's retired in the TV show, and he has to take a whole season to fucking become the superhero that I watched the show to see. This show isn't as egregious as maybe other shows, where because he wears the costume again pretty quick. Probably like episode 2, he gets the costume back, and he wears it like a lot, like very often after that. It didn't take the whole season for him to don the costume one more time. And a lot of people will praise. I liked a lot of the performances of this. A lot of the characters. Nicolas Cage is really good as this character, as Ben Reilly. He does I like the accent that he puts on and the little like inflections that he has. Everybody's going crazy. They're like, all the reviewers are like, Nicolas Cage is so goofy. I can't believe it. He's it's like yeah, he's being a weird guy, but that's kind of expected from him now. Like it's not that groundbreaking. He gives a lot of. He's very funny in a lot, and he kind of like. He has like these different personas when he's like, depending on who he's talking to. Sometimes he'll put on like a character to sneak into like an apartment or something, or when he's with the villains as Ben Reilly, he's like being like this snarky asshole to all of them. And when he's Spider-Noir, he's like more intimidating, and he's doing like the Spider-Man quips sometimes. It's hard to get those right, and I think sometimes it doesn't fully work with him. But he's great. I really like his secretary Janet. I think that's her name. Yeah, Janet. I thought she was really good, like a great anchor, a great foil. I also really liked Robbie Robertson, played by Lamorne Morris. What's his name? Let me look this up again. Spider-Noir cast. I know Lamorne Morris. Yes, Lamorne Morris. I feel like I've seen him before. I just don't remember from where. I thought he was great as Robbie Robertson. I loved his character, and I loved his he was more of like an altruistic guy than Ben Reilly, which is actually I actually liked how much Ben Reilly was like kind of an asshole He wasn't like a clean cut hero, or like a super altruistic guy. He does a lot of like morally like fucking gray things. He bribes a homeless guy with an empty alcohol flask. He beats up some guys in a bar because they were making fun of him. Like he puts on his full Spider-Man outfit. Like it was just them in the bar. Like they weren't like hurting some person or like harassing some girl. They were just laughing at the spider without knowing that he was the spider. And so he goes outside. He puts on his costume. He beats them up while drunk. There's a scene where there's these mobsters are like watching him, like following him. And so he has this kid like standing in his window with like a hat and a big coat, so people and like the shadow, so people think that he's home, even though he's not home. And I was like, imagine the mobsters are like, man, screw this, let's just go into his apartment, and they find this kid. The kid's alone. They could just kill the kid. I was like, damn, Ben, like, what are you just leaving this kid alone with these mobsters right outside when they're watching that exact apartment? But I liked that. His suit was really cool. I think sometimes it looks kind of stupid with the hat when it's because you have to have the brim of the hat, the front brim, like pulled down right above the eyes. The lenses are so cool how they light up. You gotta have it like that because if it's up, it looks stupid. There's a scene with him in the car with the Silvermane, the mob boss in this, and he didn't pull it down too much, so it looks kind of dumb. Other than that, I think the suit looks really cool. Um, but I mean, Sony finally got their Sinister Six in this show. There's a ton of villains in this. There's Sandman, Tombstone, the Fire guy, the electric guy who I thought was Electro or the Shocker, but apparently there's some guy called Megawatt. Um, I said the Fire guy, Black Cat, and Silvermane. I guess that's your six right there. Your six villains, Sony. You finally did it. You got six villains in the. And talking about the villains, kind of where most of my criticisms kind of stem from them. The first one we see is the Fire guy. I thought his effect looked cool, but he dies, and he's not like he dies in like the first 10 minutes. Then Sandman's powers. I was kind of disappointed by how little Sandmaning we see, because he gets like he just has like this like sand texture on his face, like, and it's kind of cool how like if he gets angry, like it grows more on his face, and we see like his fist kind of become like sand, all sand. But like, I was like, do a little bit more. I was like, at least have it like become like a little bit of a bigger fist, or like have him turn it into like a mace, or have someone punch through him. Like that would be enough. Because there's one scene in the finale where he gets crushed by two cars and he becomes like a pile of sand. I was like, oh, this is when he becomes like a sand guy, like a big sand guy. But it really never happens. And I was kind of disappointed by that. But like the effect looked good. The effect that we saw, especially when his hand like is all sand. I was like, they were able to do this in 2006 or whenever the Spider-Man 3 came out. It's like you can't do it now. I just use the same technology from the Spider-Man 3. But I think he was a good character. The story with him and Black Cat, because they're kind of like a couple. However, in the last episode, because Flint Marko Sandman is like working for Silvermane, the big the mob boss, kind of the big bad of this season. And they're about to run away together, but then he starts working for Silvermane again, and Black Cat's like kind of just separates from him. And then a few episodes later, she has like a romance with Ben, and they're about to run away together, and then they don't, and then she gives up Ben Reilly's identity to help Sandman try and find a cure, and then at the end of the season, she's back with Sandman, and then she sees Ben for one last time, like at some like, I think it's at like a cemetery, and she says to Ben, she's like, you know, if in a different universe, we could run away together, to Ben. And Flint's standing like 5 feet away. I was like, why the hell would you say that? Imagine if your girlfriend said that to another guy, like when you were like standing right there, like, yo, if this guy wasn't a player, if my fucking idiot boyfriend wasn't here, I would run away with you. Like, what is? That's not good. I don't know if that relationship is gonna last with these two. And then there was Tombstone, Lonnie Lincoln. He was cool. Although his his like look. He has like these like when he goes like tombstone mode. He has like this. It looks like he has like scales. He didn't look like a stone at all. He looked like a lizard person. He looked like a reptile. There was a one of the characters who worked for Silvermane, Winston. He gets killed very early on by Silvermane because they trick him into getting killed. It's not necessary. My point bringing him up was I thought he was not a very good performance from the actor for Winston. I'm glad that they killed him off early because I cannot take that guy seriously. Silvermane was played by Brendan Gleeson, who's apparently a big actor that people love. I thought some of his performance was kind of half-hearted, not the best. The character, however, that I think had the worst performance was the fucking megawatt guy, the guy with the electricity. I hated almost everything about his character. Whenever he was on screen or talking, I was like, I don't want to watch this. The actor, no hate to the actor, but his like voice was so unconvincing. It sounded fake. It sounded like I was doing an impression. Like I did not believe that was his real voice for a second. He was neither funny nor intimidating, which which they were trying to make him. He had that CW fight scene again. The only thing that was cool was like his affect on his skin with the lightning bolts and like the surging. I like that. I thought that was cool, but I was not down with this character at all. He does this thing with his fingers which looks so dumb. Just a really bad character. I'm glad that he just gets thrown in front of a train and explodes. I thought that was really nice. That was a cool scene though when that happened. But I hated Megawatt in this. There were some weird ADR moments in the show that I noticed. That was like early on. I noticed it less and less in the later episodes. But yeah, there's some moments where just the very obvious ADR lines.
Riley, what are you doing here?
Well, if it ain't Mr. Whiskers searching for some cheese.
And I mentioned how like in the middle of the season there was like a romance thing with Ben Reilly and Black Cat. There's a scene where she's like, I know you're Spider-Man. And she jumps out a window and he catches her with the web. And they kiss. And I was like, ew. He's like, because he's like twice her age. Maybe even 3 times her age. And so like seeing them, like I don't, it's hard for me to get down with like these two actors and like believing that they're like supposed to be similar. Although it's the 1930s. So things are a little different back then. But I feel like, I don't know. That's like a weird thing to me being like, I'm sure like the casting directors are like, yeah, she probably looks the same age as him because like how different the standards are when like it comes to like the look of aging on men versus women. But I don't know. It was hard for me to root for them when I'm like, is that her dad? Is that oh, it's her dad. But yeah, she betrays him by giving up his identity to this scientist character. Because she's like, the scientist lady's like, I can make a cure for all the people with superpowers. And so she captures Ben Reilly, and we have kind of like not bottle episode. Although most of the plot was kind of pointless, besides the making of the antidote. Like there's the part where, like the mobsters show up and they're like, we're looking for more people with abilities, and she's like, come in here, and it's just a bunch of like dead people who are already dead, and so like, all right, we're out of here. And the scientist character's like, I'm doing this so I can cure. My son had the power to ages super fast, and he's gonna die of old age, so I need to make this cure. And then she cures him, but then they both die anyways at the end of the episode. So like cool, but I guess the antidote gets made from that episode, and Ben Reilly has the choice to use the antidote, but he's like, I'm going to use it to cure the villains instead. And I was like, what is this, Spider-Man No Way Home? What are we copying the plot of Spider-Man No Way Home now? We're curing villains again. And then we get to the finale, and, you know, after like so long, I mean, he gets into that bar fight, and then he's like drunk all the time, and then I don't think he does any Spider-Maning for the rest of the episode. And then the beginning of this episode, he does the stuff with Tombstone, and then they cure him. And then he like some policemen show up, and he fights them. And one of the policemen like punches his leg or something, and he falls off of a car, and he's just like incapacitated for like 20 minutes of the episode. I was like, come on, you were really doing this? One fight and he's out. But then they go to the Silvermane place. I like Ben trying to convince them that he's not Spider-Man. And then Robbie shows up in the suit like, look, we're two different people. And that works out perfectly because the fucking megawatt guy that I hate jabs him with the antidote, but he's a regular guy, so it doesn't work. And there's that fight scene in the club, which is cool. And then they go out to the street and they do another CW fight scene. There's some cool moments, like some like swinging and stuff. And there's that part with Black Cat and Silvermane with like the mirror. They do like he goes into the room of mirrors. They have those kinds of scenes where there's a room of mirrors and you're like, where's the real one? But that, I felt like it was really poorly done, that one, because I'm like, because they're always, I don't know. I just thought the editing and the framing of that whole scene was kind of weird and like didn't work how it's supposed to work typically. And then she shoots him and he's dead. I thought they were at least going to do some reveal that he's like, because in the comics Silvermane is like a mob. Is he a mob? Is he even a mob boss? But he has like weird like technology body. I thought he was gonna at least reveal like, she shoots him in the chest and he's like, you forget I never said this, but I have robot body or like a metal torso or something like that. And like they would fight for like a little bit longer, but she just shoots him and he falls over and he's dead, and that's the end of that. And then Sandman doesn't die, but not Electro, Megawatt gets hit by a train, and then Flint and Black Cat get to ride off into the sunset together. I think what happens to Robbie? Does he get like his own publisher, like newspaper? Because he used to work for the Daily Bugle, but they fired him. He has like his own. He gets a new job because he's like broke. He's eating like ketchup sandwiches. I forgot. I just remember the ketchup sandwich. That bit was so upsetting to me. Watching someone bite into a ketchup sandwich. That's probably why I can never be an actor. If I got a script and I was like, oh, I gotta eat it. I bite into a ketchup sandwich, I'd be like, I quit. I quit day one. And then they renamed the investigation company to Riley and Ruiz because that's Janet's last name. Investigations, and I'm like, that's cute. And I really like Janet, so I'm like, that's deserved because she was like the backbone of his whole operation because he's a mess. Yeah, but that was the whole season. It's a nice, concise 8 episodes of television. I don't know if there's gonna be like a season 2. I would like to see. I mean, I really like the core cast of characters. These 3, the Ben, Janet, and Robbie. I would like to see him because he was in the First World War, and it was like what year is this set in? Like 1933. I do want to see him fight Nazis. So maybe they do like one like set like 10 years later. I know they probably can't do Hydra, but just have him fight just like Nazis during World War II. I really, because that's a thing that he does. Spider-Man Noir. It's not groundbreaking or anything. This show. That being said, it has Spider-Man in it, so this automatically makes Spider-Noir a 10 out of 10. So that's all it takes, guys. All you gotta do. I've been trying to this is what Marvel. This is what you guys have to do. You have your show. You have a show like Daredevil Born Again, and you put Spider-Man right here. This character, you put him in the show, and that instantly makes the show good. The Punisher, one last kill. Spider-Man, put him in the show. That makes it instantly better. Okay, you understand? Hawkeye, Spider-Man, put him in there. The only thing that would make this Spider-Man Noir better if there were two Spider-Mans. Imagine that. But yeah, so it has Spider-Man in it, so it's obviously a perfect season of television. And yeah, that's all for this episode. Thank you all for listening. Let me know what pocket figs you have in the comments below. And if you don't have one, keep it to yourself because you will get decimated in the comments. Anyways, thank you all for listening to this episode. And I will see you all next week. Goodbye.